let's discuss the last day and a half of feeds audio only today because it is Football Sunday. Sports season has begun, really. Usually Big Brother would be ending right about now, but unfortunately we still have 2 months left of the show because of the schedule this year. And that is going to be hard for me with sports season, but I will do my best. Now, the last day and a half, Cameron's HOH trying to shake things up. I still feel like, unfortunately, Cameron has made a lot of mistakes in this HOH because it definitely seems more emotional of an HOH than logical. We finally learned yesterday that his plan all along was to get Izzy out, which always felt that way because he has been targeting Izzy since his first HOH, talking about how Izzy is a problem in this house, stirring up a lot of the shit. That is what he thinks. His big plan, which in hindsight is dumb in my opinion, which we're going to go over, but his big plan was to first nominate Felicia and Izzy and then take down Felicia and backdoor, not even really backdoor Suri, but put up Suri, because in that situation, that's how he feels like Izzy will go home. But if that was the plan all along, then he really should have just put up Suri and Izzy on the block together. He made this harder for himself, which is the theme of the season. Every player continues to make everything harder for themselves game-wise. Now he needs the veto to be used in order to, pull off his plan. And Cameron's not going to win everything. Yeah, he's going to be a big comp threat, and he's probably going to have to win out if he's going to get to the end of this game, which is why the odds of him winning or getting to the end is pretty slim because, these competitions are usually all over the place. So I don't think Cameron's going to be a favorite to win all of these competitions. And so it's just really too early in the game for a player that has to do a lot of winning to make it to the end. I have a hard time seeing Cameron getting far, even though he is a cockroach that they cannot seem to get out. Now, yesterday before the veto, he was going over some talks with Jared, who he does trust a lot. I see a lot of people in my comments talking about how I think his plan is to backdoor Jared, or his plan should be to backdoor Jared. I hate to break it to the Jared haters, but Jared and Cameron do have a trusting relationship. For now, Jared is one of the very few people that Cameron does trust. But yesterday, before veto, him, talking some shit about Suri to Jared, Jared trying to play it off, but also having quite the reaction to it, because he's talking about his mother. And then Jared goes and wins the veto, although it did sound like Matt kind of passed him the veto to win. Both Jared and Matt both playing to win that veto and, to keep noms the same because they are both, Matt is the newest Fields child from Suri. So the Fields family, where all the Fields children were in that veto competition, Jared, Izzy, and Matt, and one of them did win it. Jared, once again, kind of winning by default, so he's not really the comp beast that I think his ego thinks that he probably is now. But he did win the veto, and he's probably not going to use the veto. It's probably going to stay the same now. So Felicia, likely the target to go home, who I think, Cam maybe doesn't really want out more than Izzy, but his HOH power now comes to an end. And that's another thing with his HOH that I really feel like went wrong, or was just the wrong way to go about it. Now, I understand Cameron was at the bottom. He didn't know who to trust after being blindsided with the vote, and he maybe kind of had to figure that out. But if he had this big plan of his to wait until after the veto, when your power as HOH is basically over, never a smart move, in my opinion. If you have a big plan, you need to go over it with people, at least a couple people that you allegedly trust before the veto. I mean, either way, he was never probably going to be able to put Suri up as a renom because Jared won the veto, and Jared is Suri's son. But I still think, regardless of who Jared is in this game, it was dumb of Cam to go about it. He went about it ass backwards. Not telling people information until after veto as an HOH is never a good thing. It is bad gameplay. So, not smart there. Now, Jared did he had the conversation with Cam after winning veto. He did talk a lot in that conversation. I saw people giving him slack for always talking a lot, which Jared does. I've given him tons of slack for saying too much. He did throw some people under the bus in his talk with Cam, which he tends to do. But I kind of feel like that is one of the reasons Cam trusts Jared, because Jared is one of the only people that gives Cam information. Information is key in this game. Even if Cameron's terrible himself at giving others information, if you give a little information to Cam, I think he's going to at least trust you some, because not a lot of people have given him good information in this game. So you put Cam's delusions with Jared's propensity to talk too much. I think that's actually a reason why Cam does trust Jared. Jared was trying to put a target on Jag with the possible idea to backdoor Jag this week. But I think when it all comes down to it, Jared's probably not going to use the veto because he doesn't want to risk Sariq going up. Now, there's all of these... the veto competition punished some people. A lot of the people in the veto, I think everyone actually, has punishments now. Felicia's is to basically be connected to Sari for several days now in a canoe. And the interesting part of that is that it's going to keep people from talking to Sari alone because she's going to be basically hooked to Felicia, which is also funny because, Sari's been throwing Felicia under the bus for the past week, which is worked out in everyone's favor. I think, however, that Jared's going to have a hard time talking to Sari about not using the veto, even though I think he and Izzy will be able to discuss that and come to the right decision with not using the veto, so to not risk Sari going up. Cam's punishment is funny because, Izzy picked the punishment for them to do it together overnight, a physical punishment all night long. Those two that have hated each other this whole time. One of the many reasons why I love Izzy. Izzy wanting to torture Cam together is very funny to me. So with all this hate that Jared gets online, that he's not playing this good game, the fact of the matter is he and Matt are probably in the two best positions in this game. Now, I think Sari, regardless of being messy, is still playing the best game, because if you look at this week and Felicia does end up going home, it's once again Sari's groundwork that put the target on Felicia as someone ahead of her and ahead of Izzy and ahead of Jared. And it was Sari's idea to have Jared and Matt get close to Cam, which is also paying off this week. So Sari continues to be steps ahead of everyone. So she's still playing the best overall game despite getting out some of her closest allies. I still think her long-term game is going to be a struggle, and I still think that is probably why Sari lost many seasons of Survivor, because as we see this season, she's putting Jared's game before hers, and I think she is helping Jared be in the good position that he is. Jared has a lot of help from Sari here, but Jared does a lot of the work himself as well. Jared is good at forming these relationships, getting people to trust him. He has spun his own web in this game also. So yeah, Sari has helped him a lot. But Jared does deserve credit for the way he is able to get people to trust him. And there's all this thing, now Cam's not going to trust Jared this week if he doesn't use the veto. And if that is the case, Cam can't be HOH next week. Cam has nobody in this game. Cam needs Jared more than Jared needs Cam. So I don't think that's this huge deal, at least going into next week. If Cam survives next week and wins another HOH, then sure, maybe Jared will be in trouble. But in the short-term game right here, Jared's not in trouble with Cam because Cam needs Jared more than Jared needs Cam. Matt playing this fantastic game as well. I still think Matt is I don't know if I even want to call him the dark horse to win this season, because I feel like he should be a favorite right now to win this season. He too in this great position in the game where he's really nobody's target, but he has all these connections throughout the house. Matt, the main one to watch down the stretch here in this game. As to where America and Corey are concerned. We saw that America finally got her kiss, her awkward kisses with Corey, had to teach Corey how to kiss on camera. Very humiliating for Corey, in my opinion, as Corey has been someone who didn't want this to play out on camera in the first place. But, you know, with social media and their hypocrisy, always trying to feel morally superior, don't forget this morally superior lesson from social media, that if a man is pushing a 21-year-old virgin to do things, that's bad. But if a woman is pushing a 21-year-old virgin to do things, it's A-okay. All this shows to me is that America Corey stands are really just America stands. Nobody gives a shit about Corey, those stands. You possibly can't. Corey wants this whole career going forward in likely politics, and yet here he now is doing what he didn't want to do on camera because he was pushed and pushed and pushed by America. And the worst part to me with this America thing, and that, you know, Corey wants to keep all this so private, he's a private person, he didn't want to do all this on camera, is that America has already gone around talking about Too Blue, about her and Corey's dry humping, basically, under the covers, which they have done a lot now, and she's already told that to Blue. So America's acting already like a teenager, spreading all these things about her and Corey. Yeah, I still don't like America, and all of her stands are the biggest reason, but it's also America herself. I'm tired of the excuses from the America stands about America's terrible gameplay, about America's creepy behavior. All these excuses all day long for America. Nobody wants to make America take responsibility for her own actions in this game. I'm sick of it. I hope she goes sooner rather than later because her stands are absolutely atrocious. And them as a couple are so terrible in this game together. They bring each other down. Izzy tries to warn Corey that America talks too much and gives away Corey's information, but he does it anyway. Although Izzy herself also talks too much and gave Corey information that Jared told her not to talk about. So, I mean, maybe this week Izzy will talk herself out of the house because I think she can be sloppy with information just like everybody else in the house. But nobody is more sloppier as a person than America in this game. She does talk too much to the wrong people. Corey himself always throws her under the bus. And then her entire game is just flirting. The past day and a half, she's flirted with Cam, flirted with Jag, flirted with Corey. Like I said in my last video, that is basically her entire game, which not the worst gameplay. It has worked in the past for people like Nicole Franzel. But the biggest difference between Nicole Franzel and America is that Nicole Franzel actually played the game hard and America doesn't. America just flirts, and Nicole Franzel did a lot more than just flirting. So I still think their games are very different. Although granted, Nicole Franzel also had pregame alliances both seasons, so then America doesn't. Nonetheless, America and Corey continue to be terrible for each other's games, and I think America continues to be terrible for Corey's privacy and for, you know, being a predator with Corey. Because yes, if the roles were reversed, trust me, social media would be trying to burn Corey down because remember, men bad. The echo chamber of friggin' social media. The best part of the kissing between Corey and America was actually Felicia acting out their kissing.
Here, Chris. She is playing. I bet if you go back and watch the
Either way, losing Felicia or Izzy this week is going to be bad for good feeds. Lastly, I guess we'll just say Felicia's likely the target this week if things do stay the same with Felicia and Izzy on the block. I think the most interesting part of that for me is Mimi, because I think Mimi will want Felicia to stay over Izzy. So how is Mimi just going to be blindsided? Will she be in on the information? Regardless of what happens with that, I hope that wakes Mimi up, that she needs to pivot a little, because she continues to think that the only real alliance is her, Suri, Felicia, Jared, and she's going to get a rude awakening with this vote. So I think I need to see Mimi pivot, because we see out of Corey and America how hard it is for them to pivot thanks to their showmans. Mimi's kind of similar to their games, and she also doesn't know how to pivot. So if this doesn't light a fire under Mimi, nothing will.